Hello, fellow Puzzled Skunk viewers. Today, I'd like to talk about the Next Chapter Book Club. Now, the Next Chapter Book Club is I want to say, national organization that helps people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Now, the way that this book club works is, at least with our particular local chapter, which I'm not naming the local chapter for privacy reasons, but we each get a book. In this case, right now, we're reading Oliver Twist. The last book we did was The Wind in the Willows, and each person takes a turn reading a bit out of the page. So, for example, we might have somebody read, and then I'll read a bit like this. As soon as everyone was finished eating, for it did not take long, Oliver rose from the table. He walked down the long road toward Mr. Bumble and the copper pot of gruel. And then the next person will go on and we'll read each part until we finish the book. Once we finish the book, COVID notwithstanding, we'll typically have a movie party of sorts. So, the last time we did it in person, we actually were reading Around the World in 80 Days. And we watched the Jackie Chan movie, which that's actually a really good movie. But I'm slightly biased because I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan. There might be a review for that sooner or later. But we did that. The last book we read was The Wind in the Willows. Good book, by the way. The best adaptation of that is definitely the I apologize, definitely the Disney version. However, I will say there are other versions out there, but I just am slightly biased because I got used to the Disney version. The best thing about the Next Chapter book clubs for me is that it allowed me to read books that I either normally wouldn't pick up, or books that are not necessarily bad, but I attempted to read them years ago and I couldn't get into them because they're so wordy. A good example of this is Around the World in 80 Days, or The Three Musketeers, or at one point I did try to read The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I couldn't get into it because I am slightly biased and prefer the Disney version. And also, there are other things, like, for example, we did read The Secret Garden. That's also a really good book. And there's some other ones we did read, like we did read Huckleberry Finn um, and Tom Sawyer. Both good books. Um, but I will say, though, that the version that we use, which is, well, at least for our local chapter, Classic Starts, it makes reading the classic material much easier because most of the people in the group are intellectual and developmentally disabled, much like myself. But even if you aren't, this is a good way to get into the books without actually having to pick up the thick, chunky, boring volume, or without actually getting uh, stuck trying to figure something out because you don't understand the words. We've also read Heidi, which also good. Uh, Not my personal favorite, but it's still pretty good. We did read The Last of the Mohicans at one point. Also, good book. We read Moby Dick. Moby Dick was actually really good. Um, and so we read different ones, and part of the way that that's actually managed to help me is number one, it's actually helping with my speaking skills. And the reason I bring this up is because I have Asperger's and I have a slightly high intelligence. At least that's what I've been told. But I'm not very good at speaking, either to people or just in general, because I'm not entirely sure why. It could be the Asperger's. I really don't know, but I'm not very good at speaking. So the Next Chapter Book Club has helped me actually get better at speaking and pronouncing things and actually not being as mumbly when I speak because I get very mumbly sometimes when I'm talking. Um, and also, it's helped me because it's given me a way to get better at doing voices. Because when I read the books, I typically like to do voices, um, and the way that we do it is each time we read the book, each person takes a little bit of the page. And so, for example, we'll do uh, different ones. So, for example, I might read a little bit like this. I take it you're the new workhouse boy, he said. Yes, Oliver replied. My name is Oliver Twist. He tried to appear friendly. Although this was not a promising start, this young man might be a new friend. I'm Noah Claypole, Noah poked Oliver in the chest as he spoke. I've been here a long time. Don't forget that. I'm in charge of you. The young man stared at Oliver. How old are you? And though that's not really my best voice, it's usually a lot better when I'm reading it with the other people or if I'm planning ahead. But I wasn't planning ahead. But it's the 20th anniversary of the Next Chapter Book Club, so I thought I would share my story with them. I started out with the Next Chapter Book Club a few years ago because I used to be part of Capernaum. I am still a volunteer with Capernaum, and if you all are not aware, Capernaum is a thing that's done through Young Life for special needs people. It's basically special needs. I don't want to call it vacation Bible school because that's not really what it is, but it kind of feels like it. And if you have the opportunity to volunteer with them, your local chapter of that, please do. It's actually really beneficial, not only to you, but also the people involved. And the same goes for the Next Chapter Book Club, which is actually sponsored by my local chapter of the Down Syndrome Association. And if you ever have the time or the money, donate it to your local Next Chapter Book Club because they always are looking for facilitators. They're always looking for people to donate their time, like for setups if they meet in person. Mine currently meets via Zoom for safety reasons because a lot of the people in my book club also, in addition to their IDD, at least one of them is immunocompromised. So if yours is meeting in person, you know, just helping with your time and your money, if you have any you can spare, and even if you can't spare money, just saying, hey, I'd like to volunteer my time once a week to help facilitate reading the books for the kids or teen adults, I should say. It's not really kids. I don't know if they let kids in. I'm not sure. I know most of the people in my group are adults, but so it's like I volunteer my time to help these people read better and learn how to read better or do better or whatever you want to do. They'd appreciate that. I know with our local chapter, we're always looking for people to volunteer. If you would like to find out more about the Next Chapter Book Club, search local Next Chapter Book Clubs or just Next Chapter Book Clubs in general. There's a lot actually in my state. And actually, I tried to get my friend Iron Zebra to join his local Next Chapter Book Club because even if he can't join as a member, he can volunteer his time occasionally to help facilitate, which will actually be good for him because he's going into special education and volunteer hours will make him look good. And I'm always trying to help my friend look better to people so that he'll be able to get where he wants to go in life because Iron Zebra is my bestest best friend in the whole wide world and I want him to do great. But back to the book club in question, I've been, as I said, I've been doing this for a few years. I actually did take a hiatus because my job was getting not in the way, but because of the weird scheduling, I wasn't able to do it comfortably. And then I was able to go back to doing it um, because they switched to Zoom. And now we're actually full time Zoom right now because, as I said, one of our members is immuno, so it's safer to meet online rather than in person. And I just enjoy it, and it's actually really fun. And like I said, if you have the opportunity, please join or share your time or your effort or whatever you can do because it's very helpful. And especially for some people, it helps them make friends or they learn a new skill or they figure out that they like a particular type of book and they get back into reading or get into reading, which, especially for people with disabilities, that's a very useful skill. Because even if you're not going to use it to get, say, a job or read a job application, it's just useful because it will give you something to do so you feel useful. And sometimes, if you're not able to work, feeling useful is just as important. Also, too, one of the things that my local chapter does, I don't know if every local chapter does this, but my local chapter, when we finish a book, if all the groups have read it, because there are different sub chapters of the Next Chapter Book Club for my area. So there's one that meets on Wednesdays, one that meets, I think, Tuesdays, and I'm sure there's a Monday one. I'm not sure. There used to be a Sunday one, which was the one I started in, but COVID kind of messed that one up. But we usually do, um, we'll finish the book, and then if one of some other group hasn't finished it, or has not read it, I mean, we'll give it to them to read. And then if they have, or if everyone's read the book, so example, Oliver Twist. If everyone's read Oliver Twist, from what I understand, we take all the copies of Oliver Twist and donate it to a library, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. I could be remembering that wrong. Um, but one of the things that we did the last time, we lost one of our members. Sadly, it was not very pleasant. But we donated all the books to the library in their name, and it was a very touching thing to do. Um, and it was unexpected, but things happen. But we really enjoy doing the book clubs. At the very least, I know I enjoy it, and I would really like to thank whoever came up with the idea of Next Chapter Book Club, because it's a great tool and a great resource, and also it's just plain fun. And not to mention, if you have no real interest in reading some of the time, this could help you get interested. And plus, the Next Chapter Book Club is just plain a good idea because it gives you something to do. Like, example, you have something to look forward to once a week so that you have something to get excited about and a reason to get up. So if you're not like having a good day and you feel like you don't want to do anything and you're just kind of depressed, you can think of it as, oh, today's Wednesday. It's book club day. I have to get up and get dressed so I can be ready for book club later today. Or, hey, I need to get up and get dressed so that I can help the people at the book club today. Or anything. And it's just plain a feel good experience. And I wanted to also say that this is a great resource and a great organization. Um, Also, I'd like to point out that if you would like to get involved in celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Next Chapter Book Club, you can do so by sharing your experiences with the Next Chapter Book Club by using the hashtag my next chapter. Um, Most of them will be on Facebook. You can email them. I don't have the email on me, but I can put it in the description below. Potentially, I have to contact one of the people in charge of my local chapter to see if that's acceptable. But if you are a member of the Next Chapter Book Club, you probably got an email with this information in it anyway. But you just use the hashtag my next chapter. I'm doing mine on YouTube rather than Instagram or Facebook because I don't do that. Iron Zebra and I will not do either of those things. So I decided to use the platform I do have and with what little subscribers I do have. And if you did like this video and find it quite interesting, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And find your local Next Chapter Book Club and see what you can do to help. If it's just time, donate your time. If you can't donate every day or every single meeting, and you know you can only help once a month, you come in and you say, hi, I'd like to actually volunteer my time once a month to help set things up or to help get things organized. Or if you can't really be there to help financially or physically, you can be the IT person for your local chapter. Because I know that some of the people that run my local chapter occasionally have technology issues. Like, we all tried to set up a screen share to watch The Wind in the Willows via Zoom because of COVID, and we were having a bit of I think they were having technical issues attempting to figure out how to set it up. So And also occasionally, sometimes there are actual legitimate technical issues that happen with the Zoom calls. So your local chapter could easily use somebody potentially for that, or someone to help organize the book drop off or distribution. So whatever you can do, do. And as I said, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I, or Iron Zebra, will see you in the next video. Bye bye!